Mike Montgomery's made this entry many times. He's fought many battles at McKale Center. Today he brings one of the Pac-12's best in Allen Crabbe as the California Golden Bears will go up against the Zona Zoo and the Arizona Wildcats. Sunday afternoon on the campus in Tucson. A little Sunday afternoon basketball at McKale Center. Sold out as always, the California Golden Bears and the Arizona Wildcats, who in the last 10 days have taken over the conference lead. They'll hold their home court today. They'll stay a game ahead of Oregon and UCLA. Remember that Arizona does get a rematch game with the Bruins coming up in a couple of weeks at Pauley Pavilion. All right, welcome inside along with Matt Muehlbach, who I've learned today never lost a game on this court. That's something to be proud of.
That's correct, you know, and good timing. Yeah. Some pretty good players I played with during that time as well.
All right, the last couple of weeks, Arizona's retaken first place. Why? Why is this team winning now?
This team has tremendous depth, Ted, and what they've really been able to do is wear teams down. They can play 1 through 10. Not always. They might go 1 through 8, but you saw Angelo Chol the other day, the 9th man, have a great game. And really their versatility. They can play any way you want them to play. They can play fast. They can play slow. They defend. They really do a great job all the way around.
All right. They also have a senior, a rare breed in college basketball today.
Yeah, Solomon Hill is right now my Pac-12 Player of the Year. He can shoot it, and that's really the new thing in his arsenal. Not a great shooter last year. It's become a weapon this season. You see him go off the dribble, and then that fadeaway. He's played terrific. The glue guy for this Arizona team.
Going up against Allen Crabbe.
Yeah, Crabbe was my preseason Pac-12 Player of the Year, and he really hasn't done much to disappoint. You see him shooting it off transition, one of the best jump shots in the country. You see him there on the break, great athleticism, and he's just been a warrior for this team. Everybody is on him all the time. They 2-3 defenders, and he's done a great job with it.
All right, Cal gave Arizona State a very late push, fell short. They had 2 days to get ready for this. What do you think the Bears need to do?
Well, they needed the 2 days. I think they needed the rest, but they need to hit a couple threes. They're last in the conference in threes, but Mike Montgomery said offensively, get it inside. Solomon and Kravish have to be better than they were against ASU. They were terrific against the Oregon schools last week. A better game from them. They might get an upset here in the desert.
That sounds like a Mike Montgomery formula forever. Get that ball inside. Let the big men pound. Well, Cal would like to pull off a stunner today and get a road win at McKale against the number 7 Wildcats. All right, the Esurance starting lineup for the California Golden Bears. This has been the 5 that have settled in as their starter. Tyrone Wallace, a freshman guard, is having a big month in February. He's provided more scoring to help Crabbe and Cobbs. The Arizona starting 5, again, the same that they've settled in with, including 7-footer Caleb Tarczewski that'll be a presence in the middle for Cal to counter.
Yeah, Caleb will be interested to get into this game. Didn't get a lot of minutes in the game on Wednesday against Stanford. Of course, Stanford really spreads it out. They were like Arizona last year. They could play 4 or 5 guys that were almost guards in a sense. So Caleb didn't get a lot of minutes. I think he'll be refreshed.
Who does Arizona put on Crabbe? Who do you think?
I think Nick Johnson will garner that defensive assignment. He guards the toughest wing guy, even though he has a size disadvantage. I think we'll see him start on him.
There it goes. Right there. Left corner, Crabbe. And right away, Cobbs tried to get it to him, and Mark Lyons picked it. And Tarczewski going in for the follow. Had the ball pop free. Tyrone Wallace played by Solomon Hill. And then it's Richard Solomon turning. Oh, and Allen Crabbe, though. Somehow, between 2 Arizona guys came away with that ball.
You know, Sean Miller talked in his pregame about the one thing he was concerned with, offensive rebounding. He thinks Cal is a very underrated offensive rebounding team. Crabb one of those guys.
Kravish hedging on that screen, pushing Nick Johnson out. Lyons and Johnson playing the outside. Now the late clock, Ashley will go. And a good Justin Cobbs rebound. Cal got off to a slow start in Tempe in their game Thursday. Of course, Arizona got off down 10-0 here to Stanford.
Slow starts have been a thing for Arizona recently. Solomon a turnover. And that was what we saw with Cal the other night, turning the ball over early and often. And you know, that was how Arizona State got on that lead. And maybe this is how Arizona can avoid those early deficits.
It's interesting when I'm looking at the Arizona season numbers with all the conversation about Lyons being a point, trying to play point, as Hill hits the turnaround. And there's no one Arizona player that stands out in the assist category. They have a fairly decent spread.
Yeah, they really do. Lyons is their leader now, but as you said, Harum, Solomon Hill, Nick Johnson, they all sort of have times playing that sort of pseudo point guard, and I thought Mark Lyons did the best job all season at that point position of the other night against Stanford.
Right now on the late clock, Justin Cobbs resets. He's got to go at Lyons. We'll pick and pop to Solomon. And Solomon beat the buzzer.
Tarczewski went for the pump fake. That was the key, and he had to respect Solomon. Solomon can hit that 17-footer. Nice move and an early big bucket by Solomon.
There's a late double on Tarczewski, and it creates a turnover. 3-on-2, and Crabb gives it to Kravish. Well, Cal, opposite of their Thursday night game, better start.
Yeah, great start for them. That's exactly what they wanted. Some plays. They got some of their big guys some confidence and buckets early.
And Tarczewski follows and one. Well, Cal defended the rim on the first try. Ashley.
Well, an aggressive move by the Bay Area kid, Brandon Ashley, from San Francisco. Of course, played at Bishop O'Dowd in Oakland before going to Vegas for a senior year, but that created that block there that Tarczewski took advantage of.
So a three-point play for Tarczewski, and now he'll sit. And Grant Jarrett will come in. Didn't play Thursday night. Sean Miller sat him down with a lingering foot issue, stress reaction issue.
Well, they had that stress reaction. They just wanted to be precautionary more than anything. They saw something that wasn't much, but they wanted to take time or have him take time off, and it evidently worked because he's back in.
And all Arizona there on the defensive board with Ashley. Lyons this time catches, shoots. And Solomon Hill gets Arizona's second try. So Crabb now guarding Solomon Hill. And Hill right over. Nice headman pass, and Kravish with the catch and finish.
Well, credit Kravish. He just beat Brandon Ashley down the floor on that play, and great hustle by him and a good look. And he finishes on the move. Not easy finish for him.
So roll Jarrett, the catch and the make.
And Jarrett looked good there. He had the foot issue. He said it was hurting just a little, and that is what got them to look at the x-ray, and I guess he said he feels fine. It's all just a matter now of monitoring that with pain. If he has any pain, they've got to look at it, but says he feels good.
And Cal has gone through that very issue this year with Ricky Kreklow, who they hoped would be a key reserve for them, but Kreklow has barely played and doesn't sound overly optimistic that he will play this year. But the Golden Bears getting off to a good start.
Now, Kravish only 6 points, 1 rebound up at ASU, but a nice start for him and the finish at the rim.
Pac-12 basketball brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. Well, in McKale Center today, we have some Pac-12 coaching royalty. Lute Olson sitting about 8 rows behind us, his now customary seat. After what he did, he built Arizona basketball and surpassed the great record of Coach Wooden in terms of number of wins. Slats, Gill, and heck, Edmondson, who in prior years did so well. They have arenas named after themselves. And Mike Montgomery is looking for one more win that would tie him for 4th place. And the funny thing is, Matt, you were part of it, how many years those two, and it was really at a period of time where UCLA was down a bit in the pack. And Stanford and Arizona were the 2 programs as Lyons hits the 3. Mike Montgomery and Lute Olson became the standard-bearing coaches in this league, and their head-to-head battles were pretty fierce.
Yeah, they really were. Very physical teams. They rebounded as hard as anybody. I actually talked to Coach Olson today, and I said, is that kind of fun having Coach Montgomery back? He said it is. He said he really respected how good he was offensively and defensively. He said no one prepared better than him. He said just tremendous preparation. And just very ethical guy, did things the right way. As Crabbe there comes alive, nice little move in that lane area. And he said just a lot of respect for both of those guys.
And that's reciprocated. I know Mike Montgomery always had great respect for Lute Olson and what he did. Everybody has to what he did here as Lyons gets called for the body bump against Brandon Smith.
And you see Crabbe here move without the ball. Of course, Nick Johnson has the assignment. You're going to see him chase him everywhere. A little help. He turned his head there on that play, and that was all the space Allen Crabbe needed. And these days, Allen Crabbe, if he can get just 5 or 6 inches, it's a wide open jumper for him.
Brandon Smith in for Cal. Robert Thurman also in. Justin Cobbs and Richard Solomon have gone out. Kevin Parham in for Arizona. Wallace driving through the lane. Wallace hit a fair number of those kind of shots in Tempe Thursday.
Yeah, left-handed guy that really can use both hands. Loves to use the right when he's in the lane. And Arizona has gone small. It'll be interesting here. They can switch some of those Crabbe screens with Solomon Hill. And this is a little bit like they played last season. They did that against Stanford the other night as well.
Jordan Mays in for Arizona. Mays on the ball with California Smith. A little roll to Thurman. And then a bad throw across the floor. Hill from the top and a good look. Well, you mentioned before the game, Matt, one of the keys, Arizona does not have a great defensive stat against the 3-point shot this year, but California, that's not a big part of their offense.
And it's surprising, just because Crabbe, you would think, takes so many threes, but Crabbe actually takes a ton of 2s. Right in that lane area, he loves to curl. He'll hit the 15 to 17 footer. We saw him just take one as Wallace launches one there. And you're right, Ted. I mean, they're last in the league in 3-pointers made. It's got to be tough for that team.
And Nick Johnson makes one at the other end. So Cal missing. That was the first 3 Cal has tried. Johnson, 34% from the line, buries it at the other end.
Well, and flip the script there because Arizona, #1 in the league in 3s made, 2nd in percentage. And so they can really go on big runs because of that.
Grabish missing, and Thurman did a good job to fight Parham, and Wallace does knock down a 3.
Now Wallace only at 27%, but he's been shooting it well. Hit 3 against Oregon. We saw him hit one the other night, doing a nice job becoming a big-time scorer for the Cal Bears.
Tyrone Wallace, freshman, was averaging 14 points a game in February for Cal. And that's key. So they'd like to get the big men involved, but they need somebody else.
Yep.
Besides Crabbe and Cobbs.
A perimeter scorer, and he can be that guy that, sometimes when you look at a freshman, he's a very talented freshman, Wallace is, but similar to the U of A freshman, you get those games, they might have 2 or 3 really good games, and then they're going to have one where and they scored 2 or 3 points. So it's hard to really rely on that every game.
So the foul on Allen Crabbe, and that'll put Jordan Mays at the line for the Wildcats. What's the depth situation at this point in the year for Arizona, Matt? How would you assess it?
Well, they've only been playing about 7, 8 guys, but now you hear the crowd, a great applause for Angelo Chol. You see him there. He came into the game, and he had only played 25 minutes in the first 9 games of the conference. He plays 24 the other night, has his career high. He goes for 6 and 8, career high in boards. He was fantastic, and he was their 9th man. And so, in honor of Bill Walton, or as an homage to Bill Walton, he may be the best 9th man in the country right now, maybe in Arizona history. So you just think of what he's done. Nice bucket there by Cal, but to come in with a 9th guy like Angelo Chol, big time for Arizona, and that's the depth situation and how they've been able to wear down teams.
A good ball movement by Cal. Crabbe assisting the basket by Bob. This 3 there, rebounded by Cal's Thurman. Hobbs back in the game. Crabbe didn't leave the floor very much in Arizona State Thursday. They had a head-to-head battle with Carrick Felix. Arizona's already switched several defenders on Crabbe. Now Kevin Parent. Brandon Smith loses the dribble there. And that'll get us to the other 12 timeout. Sean Miller, after a rough start the other night, Arizona tied here.
Every three-pointer. Every rebound. Every fan.
Winding down now, about 5 weeks away from the first Pac-12 men's basketball tournament at the MGM in Las Vegas. Tickets at pac-12.com/tickets. Again, we were there in December for the warm-up event, test event of the venue. They'd never had a basketball game in there before, and it's going to be terrific. 12,000 seats, right? It's all in one complex.
Who'd you see in December?
There were 6 teams there, actually.
Were there?
It's 6 teams that played a series of games, and Oregon State was the Pac-12 team that played. But they had to set it all up as Lyons drives the lane, and then Bach takes the charge. So Mark Lyons picks up a second.
Well, it was interesting. This week, Mark Lyons met with Sean Miller, and Sean Miller jokingly said it was our 107th meeting of the year. And the one thing he said was, if you're underneath the foul line, he wants bounce passes. And you can see why. If he had made a bounce pass there, he would not gotten in the air. He would have stopped. It would have been a jump shot, a jump stop, and the bounce pass would have been catchable by Chol, no charge, and probably a dunk.
Good setup on a 3 there. Missed by Crabbe, and back comes Arizona. Well, now the Wildcats may play a while here without Lyons. Mays coming back in. What's your take on Sean Miller's view of this? Will he sit Lyons the rest of the half?
You know, Sean's he's not afraid to play a guy with 2 fouls. He'll do it a lot. Beautiful move by Ashley, doesn't finish it, but no, he will get a guy out. I think he likes him to sit there, think about it a little bit, talk to him. Lyons is a very bright senior. He's been around enough, and I've seen him do it with any player, but my guess would be he'll put Lyons back in unless Arizona goes on a big run here and he feels like he doesn't need him.
Mays went left and pushed it with the right. So the start of the game, Cal wound up playing uphill most of Thursday night. And the Bears have weathered that here. At the midway point of the first. Smith dribbled once inside the arc. So Jordan Mays on the ball now for Arizona. And Hill down the lane. Ball ended up in Tarczewski's hands, but because of a scrape there by California, I believe that's Richard Solomon. And that is Solomon's second.
And we've talked about their bench and lack thereof. Not much there. They play about 7, maybe 7.5 guys.
Yeah, and so Solomon's going to sit, and actually Crabbe's going to get a little breather here. Wallace and Kravish come back. Well, this will be a measure right now for what Mike Montgomery talked about. Matt, where do you go for points?
Yep. Crabbe out, and I think he likes the position, though, being only down 1. Feels like he's kind of weathered this first 10 minutes. And Arizona, it's really been the story so far, has been Arizona missing shots, Cal making shots.
Well, what a nice effort by Ashley. Snuck in to steal the rebound and fouled.
Now this young freshman, he is the youngest guy on this team. Younger than any of the other freshmen and really active on the glass. Leads this team in rebounding, actually leads them in field goal percentage as well. And you can see him there relentless on the glass.
A foul on Kravish of Cal. So we were talking about the offensive rebounding for Cal here. Brandon Ashley steals 2 points for the Wildcats.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things Sean Miller has said from an identity standpoint. His team rebounding is definitely one of their identities. They lead second in the conference in rebound margin, and that they have been terrific, all because of those 3 young freshmen.
First half of this game, they've been handled. Cal has a big rebound edge. That's hurting Cal again, as it did in Tempe. That is 7 turnovers already.
Yeah, they'd be in great shape right now. You look at it, they're down 3. They've been shooting the ball well. They've gotten good shots. But for the turnovers, and this is not a team that typically turns it over. They've been in the top 5 in the league all season in lowest amounts of turnovers. But the last 2 games, not very good at all.
And there's Hill. Well, he's a guy that you touted for honors, and it's interesting with Mark Lyon sitting, Hill sort of ran the offense on that possession.
That's right. He can play that point forward position, and you saw Tyrone Wallace. He went under the screen, and I think time ago people would have no problem because Solomon couldn't shoot it as well from 3. He's really gotten that up, 41% right now. Terrific job before the conference. And you see this here. You see Zeus sets a screen. You see Wallace go right under that. Zeus sets a great big screen, gives him the look. And I think if you got to respect that 3, you really got to go over the top. You've got to trail that and try to get him into somebody else.
All right, you have tabbed Hill as one of your 3 favorites for Player of the Year.
Now, and I think right now he's my guy. He just does so much for this team. This team's in first place. We talked about the versatility of the team and him, and I think the 3-point shooting is really what's changed him. You look at Solomon Hill, his freshman year, he hit 4 3-pointers. And you look this year, I mean, he's done a tremendous job, up around 40-something already on the year, and that's really changed his game because his ball handling for his size is good as anybody in the conference, and he has tremendous power with that 6'7" frame.
Of course, Crabbe, who we're watching in this game, is still the leading scorer in all games among conference players as Crabbe gets the basket there. I'm going to throw a name at you that's ramping up. Upward with, he's on the Billboard chart with a big arrow right now. That's Dwight Powell at Stanford. Stanford's playing much better. Yeah. Powell's putting up some big games. Nice inside for Ashley.
Now the nice dish there. Johnson draws the defense, and Ashley uses those long arms to finish. But I saw Powell the other night here in McHale, and he was dynamic. I mean, he could do it almost any way you want. They had a really difficult time matching up with him. They had 4 or 5 guys, and to your point, Ted, playing as good as anyone in the conference.
Stanford got a big win yesterday at Tempe. They forced Arizona State to go small in the second half.
They did.
Stanford's big men stepping out and shooting as they can.
And they get Gage out there. They get, all their bigs. And so really make it difficult for teams to guard. And who do you put on? How do you get a big guy out there guarding pick and rolls? And of course, Chasen Randall does a great job shooting it a lot better. They were awful in the preseason non-conference. Now they lead the conference in three-point shooting. So
yeah, that's a huge swing.
Turnaround. You see that freshman again, beautiful dish there, and look at Ashley, great body control and great finish.
Pac-12 basketball brought to you by Esurance, now offering savings for Pac-12 students and alumni. Find out more at esurance.com/Pac-12. And by Quicken Loans, engineered to amaze. Sun setting, gorgeous, a little cool for Tucson in February today, as you can tell. A beautiful day. Hey, it's been a turnstile atop the country. If there's ever been a better measure of the balance, this seems to be it. 3 teams at the top all losing.
Yeah, and you don't want to be number 1 right now. You're going to go down. And
although Indiana beat Ohio State today in Columbus by 13, that was impressive.
I don't know if they go down very far, losing on the road. And Florida game, though, they lost big to Arkansas. That was a surprise. And Kansas, 0 for their last 3. That was a shock. That's a shock to me.
Interesting to see where Arizona will end up if they can win this game, how they move up. Gonzaga is in that spot they're often in where they win a couple of games in league play. They may move up in the ranking and their RPI may go down. As they beat a couple of lower rung teams from their conference.
Reminds me of those golf world rankings. You can win a tournament sometimes and go down in the rankings. But that's against Gonzaga. I like their team. I mean, and they've had this for years now. Size, terrific players, skill at every position.
Solomon Hill's first foul there. Another great story for Gonzaga that you don't see often in college basketball is redshirting a player in the middle of his career, not redshirting him up front. Kelly Olynyk has become a standout player. Grabish slipped off the screen, but then Tarczewski blocked him. Nick Johnson on the run and a reach in on Cobbs of Cal.
Now you can see these big guys for Arizona, and they come in waves, because you got Ashley there, Tarczewski on the weak size, and they got the size, and then Nick Johnson off to the races. And the one thing Nick Johnson has done this year, he's done a lot better job off the dribble. Last year he was just an athlete and just a guy that would use his physical ability to jump over guys, and he can get to spaces and spots now that he couldn't last season.
We use the phrase a lot. X factor. Is he an X factor for Arizona? Nick Johnson?
Yeah, definitely. He was. I talked about Solomon Hill being the Pac-12 player. I thought non-conference Nick Johnson may have been that Pac-12 player of the year. He was so dynamic early. Has not shot it well, missed that free throw, but has not shot it as well in the conference.
That's why I asked in non-conference. He had some games that just you couldn't help but be impressed.
He was terrific.
All right, Lions back in the game. So his first in over 4 minutes. And right now, a little bit of a danger spot for Cal. Arizona's slowly gotten it out to 7, and Cal's hit a little bit of a drought.
Yeah, they are, and that's, again, the storyline for Cal. When can they score? How can they score? Can they get buckets? And I think that was too quick of a shot for Cal early on in that series. A long 3. They, I think, need to still think about getting it to Crab or getting it to the inside guys.
So now Mike Montgomery's faced with a decision. He may not have much of one, though. That's the second foul on Alan Crabb.
Now he's 6'18". He's got Solomon coming over. I'm not sure it's going to be for Crabb, but.
All right, don't forget, we'll have Ashley Adamson joining us with the State Farm Halftime Report. Looking at that Indiana win over Ohio State today. Stanford's win at Tempe yesterday, as well as the first half of our game here in Tucson. And don't forget, we have another one coming. Another men's game to follow with Colorado and Oregon State. And there's going to be a little bit of attention coming up because Arizona will be in Boulder Thursday night to play Colorado. I have a feeling that's going to be a great atmosphere. We'll have it on Pac-12 networks.
I talked to Tad Boyle 2 days after they won, or after they lost here, and he told me, hey, that game's already sold out. And what a move by Crabb. And that's one thing he has an advantage. Johnson can chase him off screens, but he's got the size there. Got about 4 inches on Nick, and he uses that pump fake.
Ooh, Parham launching the three. Parham not a bad shooter. 38% out there this year.
Well, Parham can shoot it. He's a guy that I think in the Pac-12, maybe the best 6 man in this conference, and Crabb's starting to light it up.
Wow. Crabb looks like he got a little ticked by his second foul.
That's right.
2 straight baskets at a time when his team really needs it. Brandon Smith on the push. And all the way to the paint. And that was a good kick as Crabb had a look. And Tarczewski, the trailer, can't hang on. And Cal back. Sean Miller's got the hands on the hip look there. That was not out of his textbook.
No, that's
a little too crazy there.
Well, he went with the spin and like he was going to get his shot blocked and then jumped in the air. And that's the problem. When you're in the air and you're not sure what you're going to do with it, usually ends up in a turnover.
Solomon steps back to the baseline.
Well, and Solomon a little shorter than Tarczewski, but probably quicker. And using that quickness, Tarczewski's got to respect the drive, and Solomon rises up for that too.
Just a one-on-one move. Hill going right, draws the foul.
You know, we talked about Crabb, and he's a guy, he's a cutter. He's just going off doubles. You see Nick Johnson, he goes around there. He's in good position at that point, but because of the pump fake, obviously gets some space there, and he gets that pump fake because Nick has to respect the shot, and he's got that lack of size against Crabb. He's got to get to the ball if he's going to shoot it.
So Hill with the 7th point, and these last 4 minutes and change are going to be interesting for Cal. Jarrett and Chol coming in for Arizona. Now Crabb is sitting for Cal. We're heading into a timeout zone, but Cal has 3 starters: Allen Crabb, Solomon, and Kravish, with 2 fouls each. Hill has 8. 8 different Arizona Wildcats have scored in this first half. 7 points, the biggest lead. And Cobbs hits it in the lane.
That was the guy I was just thinking. They need to get some production from Cobbs, and it's not a case of missing. He just hadn't gotten any shots up today.
His first points. And knocked out of bounds by Wallace. That gets us to a timeout. Just under 4 to play. First half in Tucson. Arizona slowly building its lead at 5. Cal junior Allen Crabb, over 19 a game, 47% shooter. Would you call him a more scorer than a shooter, Matt?
Yeah, I think he does, and it's, you know, because we get caught in the assumption that he's a three-point shooter, and you see him there cutting to the lane. You saw an offensive rebound, and I like what he does in the two-point area. It's just not all threes. He shoots a lot of twos, and he's very creative coming off of those screens. I think the one thing he needs to do is just come up with a move or two off the dribble. And I remember, I know you're a Warriors guy. I remember the great Bernard King used to talk about every summer he would go back and he would work on one move. And he would work on it all summer and get it down to perfection. And I think if Crabb could do that, one or two, he could be a prolific scorer even at the next level.
And that fact you just saw there, when I saw that, the first thing my jaw dropped was Jahi Carson. He has 9 20s this year.
Yeah, it's
more than almost double Crabb or Shabazz Muhammad. There's a great transition finish by Tyrone Wallace.
Cal creeping in. You mentioned the guys being out, and a nice job by them there. And to go back to Jahi Carson, that's a guy that's not even shooting it well with those types of numbers. Wait till he starts to knock down a 22-footer consistently and try to figure out how to guard him.
Well, there Cal doubled late again. Once they had isolated Hill with a post-up, Cal came with the late double, knocked the ball away. But right now it looks like Mike Montgomery is going to try to squeeze this half without Crabbe. He also has Kravish sitting. Is Solomon playing with 2?
I think he's happy with the position. Only down 3 right now. Getting some rest for those guys. The crowd hasn't really, Arizona hasn't gotten on any really big run to get this crowd going. And I think the tempo is great for the Cal Bears.
And Mark Lyons continues to play with 2 for Arizona. He sat for just over 4 minutes. And Arizona can't convert. Well, here comes Cal now. Possession where they can pull within 1. And Wallace takes it into Hill and goes down. And now Hill spots up and rattles it.
And that was much better teamwork for Arizona. You mentioned it, Ted. I think they've had a number of possessions, maybe too much one-on-one basketball. You see them come down, the nice jump stop and the pass to his wing on the left, Solomon Hill.
Well, that's a swing. And a bump. Jarrett, the defender, coming out what's called the hedge against that screen. We got a body in there, so Jarrett's foul. 4th team foul on Arizona in the half. 7 on Cal.
Caleb Tarczewski checks back in for Arizona.
Tarczewski back, Jarrett out. I'm curious to watch how the games in the conference are called the next few weeks in terms of what we just saw, whether it's body contact on a ball screen like that or the hindering the movement off the ball. The scoring is down again.
Yeah, and I think part of that is they haven't been calling things. They're letting guys go, and you saw that last possession with Wallace. There was a lot of contact. They could have called a foul there. They did not, and because of that, he didn't get an opportunity to make a shot or shoot free throws.
You look at the history of these teams, for example, as Lyons knocks down a 3. Second 3 for Mark Lyons. These teams, the last 6 times they've played, Cal and Arizona, both teams have scored in the 70s. Over 70, more accurately. That's a high-scoring game this year.
Yeah, it is. And that's happening all over the country. I mean, you're seeing that with a number of teams.
There's Solomon put it down, took it, and fouled.
Well, and here was that big one you talked about, Ted. Solomon Hill got his hands in there and maybe a little bit of contact. They go maybe to being down 1. They miss that shot, and Arizona hits the opportunity 3. And as you mentioned, I think that was the biggest swing so far in this first half.
Tarczewski of Arizona with a foul, and Solomon to shoot for Cal. Crabbe's back in the game here at 1:37 to go in the half. Jeff Powers is in for the Bears for the first time. Might get Crabbe out here if you're going to go back and play defense. Let's see. No. Bach is coming in off the bench for Powers.
Well, and he had put Crabbe in, I think, primarily because they were on offense when he put him in. And I'm with you, Ted. I thought they would take him out with so little time left.
Cal go into a zone here. Mark Lyons. Some bumping, some contact, no whistles. Here comes Cobbs in, and Cobbs finishes.
Well, again, a lot of contact around that free throw line, and we talked about Mark Lyons with the bounce pass. He doesn't throw it, ends up in a turnover.
And now Sean Miller's going to take his first halftime out in 1:02, and now it's Sean Miller's turn. He's not thrilled about this.
And here's the no bounce pass.
Yeah,
you could
two
see
of
that.
those.
Yeah, that little pocket pass right on that block. That probably would have been an Ashley dunk. I think Sean's upset, number 1. that he didn't make that bounce pass, but he's also upset at the ref. Felt like there was too much contact, but there was contact on the other end against Wallace, so I think you look at both of them, at least consistency on those two plays.
State Farm halftime report. Ashley Adamson is coming along, and nice win for Indiana. They had lost Thursday to Illinois. They rebounded today against Ohio State. Ashley will have the highlights of that, as well as yesterday's Stanford win at Tempe against Arizona State. Sets up a nice weekend in the Bay. The UCLA USC will be in the Bay Area next weekend. UCLA Cal Thursday.
You just saw USC play. I mean, that's a team that's starting to play pretty well.
They are. They've got Washington at the Galen Center tonight, and I'm telling you, that's a team that, you know, they've got 13 losses. They're going to have to run the table in Las Vegas, no pun intended. But the way they play, with the size they have, you just... Nice possession. Tarczewski got that ball so deep. I would just say, I think I've said this the other night as well, I would venture to guess that no coach in the league is going to say, I really want to play USC.
No, that's part of it is they've got nothing to lose.
Yes,
you know, with an interim coach, they can just let it fly, and Cobbs lets that one fly. But you know, the big thing with him too is they have talent and they have depth and they have size. So in a game in the Pac-12 tournament, sometimes those tournament games slow down a little bit. They can take advantage of size.
Last possession. Cal been playing a zone, to stay in a zone. And Ashley throws it away. Crabb, Cobbs, and Crabb finishes. And that ends the half. So how about that? Mike Montgomery goes against his identity. He's been a man coach for 99% of his career, but he played zone the last couple of minutes. I'm sure to protect Crabb.
I think protect Crabb, mix it up there, and Ashley should have taken that shot. He passes it, and another big swing in the second half, this time in Cal's favor, because they look, maybe they're going to go down 9 at the half. They get the steal, they convert. Crabb, a beautiful finish there, and now they're only down 5 heading into the break.
12 points in the first half for Alan Crabb, and the last 2 that were big. So Arizona has the lead, not as comfortably as they would like, as Cal played with some toughness the last 4 minutes. So it's Arizona by 5. Ashley Adamson is along with the State Farm halftime report on the Pac-12 networks.
You see a place that's alive with purpose and passion. You see a place inspired by a long tradition of untraditional excellence. You see a place built by the people, for the people of California, the nation, and the world. What do you see? You see Berkeley.
State Farm halftime report continues from McKale Center. Arizona leads by 5 at the half. It looked like it was going to be more. Cal played well the last 4 minutes, even with some foul trouble. The one thing that plays back to something you referenced, Matt, at the beginning, you said Cal has to get something from their big men. Well, here's one way to look at it. In the paint, Cal had 18 points to 6 for Arizona.
Yeah, I thought Kravish and Solomon were pretty good. I thought they did a nice job. They didn't take over the game, but they don't need to. They just need to play solid for this Cal team. And you know, and Crabb was good. Crabb was nice, 6 for 8 from the field, had his 12 points, did not hit a three-pointer, kind of living up to their inability to hit threes. That they were 1 for 6.
How about
downtown.
this? He plays the last couple of minutes of the half with 2 fouls.
Yeah, and that was big. That last foul, that third foul. And so, Johnson did a pretty nice job.
All right, Matt's headset's having a little bit of a problem here, so we'll talk a little bit about Alan Crabb. And then Solomon Hill ended up making 3 of 8 from the floor. He made a couple of threes, and he had 11 points in the first half. And Solomon Hill leading Arizona in scoring. So the 2 men to watch were the 2 leading scorers of the half. Hill also did a nice job orchestrating the offense when Mark Lyons was sitting for a bit with fouls. And there's that bottom, that points in the paint number. And look at the difference in three-point shooting, Matt.
Yeah, and that lived up to expectations. Cal does not shoot it well from downtown. And I think if they can just get a couple of Cobbs, Crabs three-pointers, I mean, they're right in this game. I think they feel pretty good only being down 5 at this time. And then the other thing we saw, Ted, up at ASU, they need to do a better job not turning the ball over. 8 turnovers in that second half. But for those 8 turnovers, I think this thing's even closer.
All right, well, California will come out for the second half with a chance. They'll be able to start clean. Arizona with a 5-point lead. State Farm halftime report from McHale. .38-33 for Arizona here at McHale. And I thought, Matt, you made a point that was very important. Having come in here in my past life as a broadcaster for a couple of visiting Pac-10 back in the day, Pac-10 schools, the one fear you always had on here was the crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd never really got into this first half.
Not at all. They're standing now, but it was a quiet crowd, and Arizona played well, but didn't really have anything to get them going. No big run, no big dunks, kind of alley-oop type stuff. So Cal, in that sense, did a really good job of tempo and kind of keeping things under check.
So I think this is interesting. Cal is coming out and they're playing the zone. I mean, Mike Montgomery and zone were never in the same sentence. Oh, Ashley picked up the loose ball. And now off the fight for it. Wallace gets knocked down, and Mike Montgomery's going living on that. Is in the fight for the loose ball. Wallace hit the deck. The ball goes out of bounds, and they're going to give it. Now they went after conference. Will give it to Cal. Mike Montgomery was furious about no foul being called.
Yeah, but I think you made the point, Ted. Interesting that they're going to zone here. One thing you got to be careful, though, on the zone. Arizona, a tremendous rebounding team, and anybody that knows, you play that zone, you have no box out assignments. We saw a couple of almost offensive boards, so you need to be careful with that.
Nice handoff, and Alan Crabb scores it.
And that's just a terrific cut. Solomon sees him, and the other Solomon Hill kind of got turned around on that. I think he was expecting Crabb to stay out on the perimeter.
We were talking before the game started today about this. I made the comment on Pac-12 Networks last night about coaches with identities. Ben Howland has an identity. Ashley with a nice putback. Mike Montgomery, one of his great identities through his incredible career, he has been man to man to man.
Yeah.
He rarely has gone zone, and he's staying with it. I'm assuming he felt it was an effective play at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I think that gave him the confidence to do it, and a little bit of foul trouble. Again, lack of a bench. And if you just have a little success, keep it going.
Nice. Off the curl, Cobbs with a catch and shoot. And Cal coming out to start the second half saying it's a game.
Both halves, they have really come out well. You can see their confidence. Arizona, on the other hand, probably didn't even practice for this, Ted, as you talked about. Probably didn't even think about his zone, knowing Mike Montgomery. You see Crabb come around that curl. That's what he loves to do in the curl. And then Solomon Hill just hesitating for a second, turned around, and Crabb really took advantage.
Now it's Cobbs on the drive, forcing the contact. Foul against Ashley of Arizona. I remember a game, this is going back, gosh, could be 8 to 10 years ago when Mike Montgomery was coaching Stanford. And they had Xavier coming out. I wonder if it was Sean Miller or not. I'm trying to remember. It's a few years back. We'd have to look it up who was the Xavier coach at the time. But it was an early season game. It was a November game. And Mike Montgomery came out, and his Stanford team started the game in zone. They played zone for 40 minutes and won the game because Xavier had no idea, never had prepped for it. And it was a clever play by Mike Montgomery. And equally shocking.
That's right. And maybe he remembered that. And Sean Miller may not have been the coach. He might have been the assistant coach under Thad Matta.
It might have been Thad Matta. I can't remember for sure. Let's see if we can look that up. It's a challenge during our timeout. Pac-12 Networks. Coming up, we've got wall-to-wall basketball today on Pac-12 Networks. Tonight, Colorado and Oregon State from Corvallis. The Buffs trying to pull off would be a terrific road sweep after winning in Eugene. 6 p.m. Pacific, right after our game here in Tucson on Pac-12 Networks. Well, Colorado took a gut shot from Arizona in the first conference game of the year, and it seems to be fairly widely believed it took Colorado a while to rebound from that.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think that game against Oregon got them back on track. They were down, I believe, 8 late, somehow able to recover. And you look at Arizona, I mean, that was a team that was 10 days ago, they were 2 games out of first. And really it was 3 because Oregon had beaten Arizona. So to look up at the standings and see yourself in first place if you're Arizona, I mean, what a turnaround.
Well, this game lead was never that wide for Arizona, but they seemed to be establishing control, and Cal is getting right back in it at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second. The biggest lead for Arizona is 9. Lyons has to go. There's a late clock one-on-one play.
And that's, you know, you have Crabbe up at the top, and then he's going to let it fly over Nick Johnson. And all of a sudden, Cal takes the lead in this game. And look at the body language on this Cal team. Loving this zone, and Crabbe knocks it in from downtown.
Well, Cal has not led the game since the opening 4 minutes until now. And Crabbe rebounds. Cobbs, left-handed.
And you know you're feeling good when you run in transition like that. We saw the opportunity 3, and you know, Cobbs was a little quiet in the first half. I like his aggressiveness this second half. Much more aggressive,
yes.
Talented player.
All right, so what's the challenge for Arizona here, Matt, as you watch this in going against a zone?
Now what they've done is they brought in Kevin Parham.
Blocked by Crabbe, playing the point of the zone. And then Johnson fouls at the other end. Mike Montgomery channeling his inner Jim Boeheim here.
That's right. You see Crabbe here, the opportunity, not slowing down. I like them going at it, and that's the best time to shoot a 3 is in transition. You're in rhythm, and then Cobbs this time all alone and uses the body, and that's a tough shot because Kevin Parham is long, and he's a terrific shot blocker from behind, so not an easy finish from Cobbs on that play.
And Alan Crabbe, who really, to give credit, Matt, would you say he was pretty well defensed by Carrick Felix and Tempe Thursday?
I think that's a great point. Felix kind of had him, and it took Crabbe a lot of late game situations where he just had to score. He was able to, and you know what I liked about Crabbe was, you know, admittedly, he made some mistakes at the end of that game. Couple turnovers could have cost his team, but he didn't duck the questions. He said, hey, I made the mistake. I've got to do better next time, and really feels like he can come up with some redemption in this game this afternoon.
Lyons missing. Crabbe has been much more able to impact this game.
And he's doing it now on both ends. He's doing it at the top of that zone, almost like Moreland has done it for Oregon State. You get that length up there in Arizona, struggling with that a bit.
Over 4 minutes into the half, and Arizona has scored just 2 points. And Crabbe is fouled on a 3. An absolute bolt to start the half. California has come out 16-2 to start the second half. Who does this in Tucson? And Crabbe will have a chance at a 4-point play. Well, Cal has a top-flight backcourt, and they have done it. Alan Crabbe and Justin Cobbs have combined to score 16 points in the first 4.5 minutes of the second half.
And that 16-2 run, and like I said, I like Cobbs and his aggressiveness, and you know, he's a reluctant three-point shooter at times. I wish he would take more threes, but he certainly can get into the lane. And you know, that it was interesting, that last little exchange in the first half. When they were able to get a bucket, Arizona was not. I think it gave them a little momentum going into that halftime, and they've come out on fire. And as you mentioned, Ted, the zone has certainly frustrated Arizona.
And as big as the points for Cal, Crabb has scored 11 points already in the half, 23 for the game. The number to me is the 2 by Arizona.
Yeah, that's.
And they've got to find the code here to crack this zone. Spot up, nice throw to Jarrett. So Grant Jarrett hits the 3.
Well, part of that code is putting Kevin Parham in the middle of the zone. He is the zone breaker, and Kevin Parham did that at Cal a couple years ago as Cobbs continues to be aggressive. And now let's see if Arizona's starting to get a little run of their own.
Trying to get fast, and they do. It was Ashley filling the lane.
Now, I mentioned Parham. He had a gigantic, his career high at Cal a few years ago in that triple overtime game, and that's where he did all of his work, in that zone, right in the paint area by the free throw line, and they went to that play there to get the look for Grant Jarrett.
Hobbs, well, he and Crabb are just on right now. They've scored all the points, the 2 guards for Cal, 19 of them so far in the half.
And that was a pretty quick shot. I'm not sure it was a great shot, but when you're feeling it like Cobbs is right now, anything's good.
I'm going to look back at Coach Olson and ask him how he thought when Muehlbach felt he had it. Nick Johnson. This is the battle. You're going to get a foul on Kravish. Parham fell in the fight for the rebound, and once he hit the deck, foul called on Kravish, his 3rd.
And you can see here, Arizona, they get the ball into that pocket right there. Kevin Parham draws the defense, and a great flip pass to the corner. And the key there was he threw it so hard. He had to really get it there quickly. And I love Jarrett's 3. He's a very efficient three-point shooter at that size.
The first team foul by Cal. Cal staying in that zone. Our great crew, Michael Molinari, Adam Gordon. Found out I wasn't crazy. It was 2002. Stanford beat Xavier in the preseason NIT at Naples Pavilion. There's a nice drive, ball tipped out. And Sean Miller was an assistant to Thad Matta at that time on the Xavier bench. Charging foul, Cal on Cobbs.
I was wondering if we hadn't found that information, maybe we could have gone over and asked Sean.
I'm sure he remembers. So does Montgomery.
Yeah, Sean and these coaches, they're like golfers. They remember every play, every game, every situation.
Hill goes down. Tyrone Wallace comes out. Crabb. All right, didn't go up over Jarrett.
Now, and that's the thing. I think they've moved Nick Johnson off of him because Crabb was just shooting over Nick. Nick was fine on the trails and he was with him, but he was able to just jump right over the top of him.
Now Johnson has to switch on Crabb. Late clock. Tyrone Wallace off the screen. And Johnson, good job to penetrate and set up Hill. Well, Hill rattled out, but Parham finishes.
Now, and as good as Hill is as the senior, Kevin Parham has become a guy for this Arizona team. He's a 6th man. He has hit so many big shots this season. You can name the games, and he's always in the right spot at the right time. Big plays most of the time when they're behind.
And there's Johnson. Good defensive play. Nick Johnson. And that brings Arizona within 3.
Well, and that's why he's leading the league in steals. Number 1, anticipation and the strength to take that 50-50 ball and eventually score.
So Cal takes a timeout.
That time Johnson on the penetration. Solomon Hill. Nice shot. Was not able to make it, but no box out at all. Parham very good underneath. And then look at Johnson's strength right there. Almost loses it. Cobbs was right on his heel, being very physical. And that's the thing with Johnson. Last year he was about 185 pounds. This year he's up over 200. I think he's one of the strongest guys for his size in this league, and that's what enabled him to finish on that one.
Well, Arizona's recovered from a real rough first 4 minutes. But Cal still has a 3-point lead. Now we watch, at least I think, Matt, we'll watch how long does Mike Montgomery and Cal stay in the zone. Do they think about switching back?
I think they stay in it. I think right now they're still up. I think one of the things that's happened is they've gone on the offensive end and have missed a few shots, and you can see Arizona running out of those missed shots. They've been much more aggressive now this second half.
Now, the rebound put back by Parham, is that a function of Cal being in the zone?
That may have been just a quick run out. They didn't
scramble.
They didn't have guys set.
Right.
And as you said, though, I'm not sure if they went back to a man or zone on that or not.
Mark Lyons trying to D up on Cobbs, forcing a miss. Oh, Parham tried to throw it through too many arms. Cobbs deflected. Cobbs back. And Kravish. Matt, I think the word you used all tonight, Justin Cobb's a different player than he was Thursday, and it's aggressive.
Yeah, he's just much more looking for his shot. And I like him when he gets into the lane. I know he took that last jump shot before the layup. And Kevin Parham loses. A good idea again to get it in there. But no, Cobbs has really controlled this game, as well as Crabbe with his scoring. I look for him to continue to get the screen and rolls, to continue to beat guys off the dribble.
Nice driving dish, but Thurman had it and fumbled it. That was a great setup by Cobbs. And then Wallace will be called for a foul. Well, that hurt California. Everything was there, but Robert Thurman could not handle cleanly the dish. It'll be Arizona at the line when we come back. With Matt Muehlbach, Ted Robinson on the Pac-12 Networks. Tucson, interesting twist to this game. Cal up 5. Now Arizona is not a foreign concept to them. You see, that's their record when they've trailed by 8 or more points at any time in a game. For example, Thursday night, or Wednesday night rather, they were down 10-0 to start.
Yeah, they've been tremendous coming back on games, and we talked about their depth and wearing teams down, and they're actually 5-2 this year when trailing in the second half. So used to this as well, and seem to get a lot of energy when they're down.
Now this was what Arizona hoped could be a real nice swing. It looked like Cal had a layup at one end. Instead, Nick Johnson's transition creates a foul. 76%. So he makes one. Cal had a 10-point lead just for a moment. They had it after the Allen Crabbe 4-point play. And that was a 17-2 run to start the half by California. So Nick Johnson on Crabbe. Switch now to Hill. Arizona really clamping down on Crabbe, and now the ball goes out of Ashley, but there's no reset, so Cal will only have 3 seconds.
And I thought, you'll see the replay here, I thought that was a good no call. I think Johnson tried to sell that, but I like the no call there. And let's see, I'm sure they're going to go to Crabbe and try to get him. Let's see if Johnson can defend him if he catches and rises up for any type of shot, whether it's a 3 or a 2.
Mike Montgomery is trying to claim that there was possession, but you saw in the replay clear that there was none. No. This is the right call.
No.
3 seconds. Crabbe has to go. Crabbe goes!
And there it is again. I'm surprised they did not put Hill on Crabbe just for that 1, 2, or 3 second possession.
26 for Crabbe. 14 in the first 10 minutes of the second half. The standing now for Arizona. And Cal is not bent. They've stayed in that zone, and Lions over it.
Well, and Sean, even though they made that jump shot by Mark Lyons, he's frustrated by the zone. He was upset at his players. As you said, Ted, no movement. They really didn't get into anything. And at this point, they've seen the zone pretty much the second half. So
this is great by Crabb with 3 seconds on the shot clock.
now, and again, that's where he's just using his size on Nick Johnson, and there's that size out there on the zone. Look at Lions though. That's just that is vintage Lions, especially in the second half. We talked about Arizona coming back from those games, and there have been a number of games that Lions has just single-handedly won at the end. The Florida game, of course, he hit the big free throws against San Diego State. In some other games late in the games where he's hit free throws and made big buckets, he has been their clutch guy when they need it.
And don't forget, Mondays on Pac-12 Networks. Tomorrow night, you get the games broken down by the head coaches, by one of the conference's real good head coaches, Ernie Kent, Don McClain. They join Mike Yam for the basketball playbook. 9 o'clock Monday night, right here on the Pac-12 Networks. It's been a good weekend of basketball. Next weekend really figures to be terrific. Arizona and Colorado Thursday night. UCLA at Cal Thursday night. The Arizonas will be in play next weekend.
And Arizona State, they've got some big games now after that loss. They were in really good position. They lose to Stanford, and I feel like they probably need to beat Utah, but Utah is no easy victory right now.
It'll be Wednesday night.
But as you said, Ted, that game Thursday, that's the marquee game of this league, especially going back to the Colorado-Arizona game.
That's the Oregons will be at the Washingtons next weekend. Brandon Smith is in for Cal. Little handoff to Crabb, missing. Solomon got undercut. Jarrett of Arizona will be called for the foul.
I thought that should have been a no call. He had position. I guess he kind of got into him a little bit when Solomon was in the air, but he's just boxing him out. I mean, if anything, just let him keep playing.
So not a shooting foul. It is the 4th against Arizona. 2nd personal. And Cobbs off the inbounds. 14 points for Cobbs in the second half. Crabb and Cobbs have combined for 24.
I mean, this has been a lethal 1-2 punch. And Cobbs comes in here, you know, he's 12th in the conference in scoring. It's not like he can't score, but this second half.
Lions denied. Sean Miller on the floor. Being pulled back by his assistant. Sean Miller walked on the court with his hands outstretched. Nice pass by Crabb. Boy, he whipped that to get it to Kravish.
And that was all a result. Mark Lyons still grimacing. He was on the ground under the bucket. Arizona, or Cal there, 5-on-4. They made the right decision, found the lone guy. And
Sean Miller, you can see him at the top there. He's still going at it with Frank Harvey about that previous play. There's a nice basket. Arizona needed that from Solomon Hill.
And that's the guy you go to when you need it. And that's what they need, is in the paint movement there. We saw Kevin Parham do it, and then Solomon that go-to fadeaway.
Richard Solomon. Cal backs it out. That basket by Hill was his first points of the second half. Cobbs with a tough shot. Now under 8 minutes. And not much motion, and eventually a foul. Solomon Hill barrels into Crabb, and that's the 3rd on Allen Crabb. So under 8 to go in what's become a real good second half. Pac-12 basketball brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Frostburg Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. Now in Tucson, things getting really set up for a fine final 7:46. Cal was down 5 at the half, up 6 now, and what's at stake is the sole conference lead. It belongs to Arizona if they can find a way to come back. Otherwise, you have a 3-team tie with 7 conference games remaining. And Arizona State would be just a game back. And how about Stanford, which started the conference season not well, and they're surging.
Yeah, and if you're Cal, you need to keep pace with those teams because you know Colorado and Stanford are going to keep winning.
And how about that? For that matter, if Cal wins this game, they'd be 6-5.
That's right.
Same spot as Stanford.
Now, and the big thing for Cal, just to look really big picture, you think about RPI things and some of that talk, and you know they're not going to have a chance. Looks like a foul trying to come through that pick.
Foul on Brandon Smith.
But Cal right now, they're at a 75 RPI, and you know they will not have a chance probably for the rest of the season to play anyone with Arizona's record in RPI. Arizona currently 6th, and it's just if they could win this, it's just a huge boost for them and something they'll never get a chance at again.
Remember, you know, Mike Montgomery, prior era, prior school, as Chal is in the game and is fouled for Arizona. Mike Montgomery knows what it's like to win here. He won a decent number of games here when he had Stanford at its best.
Yep. I think that's a good point. We were talking earlier, I mentioned talking to Lute Olson before the game, and I said, what do you remember most about those rivalries with Mike Montgomery? He said, you know, it was interesting that our teams tended to beat each other when we shouldn't. Big upsets on the home court, I'm sorry, as a visitor. And he said Mike would come in here, he said, I remember him coming in winning 4 or 5 times in a row in McHale Center. And then I remember
which nobody had done.
And then he said, Luke kind of with some pride said, I remember going there and beating them when we shouldn't have beat them. So this is nothing new, as you said, from Mike Montgomery.
Well, Cal really turning this game in some measure by going to a zone. And they're going to get to the 7-minute mark with the lead. Hobbs tried to dish to Sherman. What's happening here in the last 3-4 minutes, though, is that Crabbe has been slow.
Yeah, no, they've done a good job. And Brandon Ashley, the 6'8" forward there, a nice job on a guard. I think he's going to be in a couple years one of the best defenders in this conference.
Mark Lyons, and that's the 4th foul on Richard Solomon. So Lyons driving into the zone, forcing the big man contact. So there's the first 4-foul player in the game.
Mark Lyons toes line for 2.
What does this mean, Matt? It's interesting. These are the teams whose top 2 in FTAs are guards.
Yeah, and these guys just find a way to get in, and Lyons misses that first. In fact, Lyons, terrific free throw shooter,
Yes,
but
these 87 this year.
Yeah, just saying, these guys, you know, I asked Mark Lyons, and we asked Jahi Carson the other day, what is it about getting to the line? How do you know, is it something you do? And he said, no, I've always had that. That's just something for me. And I've asked Lyons the same question as he knocks in that second one, and big one there. But, you know, Lyons just has a penchant for getting in there. He's able to go. And I think the key for those guys, they get into the body of the defender and they force the official to make the call.
Thurman in the game. Solomon's out with 4 fouls. Cobbs is stripped. Lyons back. Lyons coast to coast. Left it short. And it's out of bounds. Chol saved it. Chol banged it off Justin Cobbs.
That was Chol is left-handed, and he was in the right spot to use the left hand and just hustled down there on the court.
Oh, Parham thought Nick Johnson was going back door.
And I couldn't tell if Nick decided just to stop the route, or did he slip or trip right there, because it looked like he might have him. It was a good look by Parham.
Cal now would like to find a way. Nick Johnson still guarding Alan Crabb. See if they get Crabb going. Get him a shot. There's a step back shot, and Crabb knocks it down. 29 points. 17 in the second half.
Now that was, give Crabb all the credit in the world. You know, Arizona might think that was a push-off. It might have been a little one. And Parham finally gets some room in the lane, but Crabb's just been sensational.
Second highest scoring game for Alan Crabb. He had 33, a career high against Pepperdine. Second game this year. 29 today. There's something about doing it here. There's so many great guards, present company included. And Arizona's history of guard play is extraordinary.
And point guard you, and
inside, nice feed. Solomon Hill set it up.
well, and that's the advantage for Arizona, because Solomon can run the break. Mark Lyons knows that. He was able to run out quickly and then let Solomon bring it up and dish it to him in the bucket.
So Mike Montgomery will take a timeout, lead down to 3.
Now there's that point forward position by Hill, looking for Lyons, and look at the finish. You got Thurman coming there with some size, and let's see here, Ted. I don't know if you think this was a little bit of a push off. He did get the right arm out, created some space. Close call.
Both teams now down to 2 timeouts. And so Arizona's in another game that they've conquered this before, being down in the final 5.
Well, there it is, Colorado game, and you know, really the game I thought it was they couldn't get to was that Florida's not even in there. They were way down in that game, and Washington did a nice job on the road, and then of course that Stanford game the other night. So you know, one of the things they do is they amp up their pressure. They're able to get steals late in the game, and then use this McHale crowd.
Well, that would be if there's another X factor that we haven't seen until recently, in this game, it's been that. It's the crowd. So many great games. Really, Cal in Arizona had him when Jason Kidd and Lamont Murray. Nice feed inside, and it sets up Bach for the basket.
Well, he comes into the game, and a guy that's not a big scorer.
And that's out of a timeout.
That's out of the timeout.
That's coaching.
We saw that at Arizona State. Out of several timeouts, they run those plays, and wouldn't expect Bach to get it ever.
Ooh, Ashley contested. Prevents what was likely going to be a basket. Puts him at the line. Foul on Tyrone Wallace.
Brandon Ashley.
And it looks like Crabb's over there. They screen and roll. They get 2 guys on. Okay, Lyons gets the switch. And it looks like he just lost him there. That was not set up for Bach, but he's the recipient.
So Brandon Ashley at the foul line. 71% shooter. Team fouls 8 by Cal. Hence Arizona in the 1-and-1 right now. Only 4 fouls by Arizona.
Well, in Arizona, #1 in the conference in free throw shooting, so something they do really well, and they've been excellent not only during the game but late in game situations.
Cobb's taking it in, setting up Bach. Bach got fouled. Ashley.
Arizona's 21, Brandon Ashley.
So Bach of Cal will be at the line when we come back for the final 4 minutes. Matt, I asked you earlier about Arizona's depth, how it fares. Well, they get 2 6th men. We'll tell 6 6th men of the game.
Now you got the senior Kevin Parham, freshman Grant Jarrett, and they look happy. They look like they just, someone told them they just won that award. They're all fired up. Well, Parham, just a great story, Kevin Parham. I mean, everybody knows the story, but he was really battled through his career. And I mentioned earlier what he's done in clutch situation. Earlier this year against San Diego State, he hit 5 shots in the second half, all 5 of them either tied or took the lead in that game.
Oh, look at Bach. Perfect carom off the back iron. Bach is now 7 out of 9 from the foul line this year. He has the only points off the Cal bench tonight. 6 of them. Cal has not budged from their zone the entire second half. They switched to it in the closing minutes of the first half. Spot Parham. Lyons inside with a nice drop and one. Oh man, Ashley gets the basket and one.
Now, that entire possession right there was started by the Parham catch in the middle. You see Ashley, the recipient, and he finishes low, but it was almost, and you'll be familiar with this, Ted, it was like a tennis point where you just have them on the run, and it took 5 or 6 passes until they finally found that open guy, but Parham created it with that initial entry.
Missed the foul shot. That's a little influence of the change in pack over the last few years. That was for generations, that would have been a foul on the floor. That basket would not have counted. That was a real good continuation call.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a point of emphasis this year, and almost looked like he traveled.
Look at how far they're stretching out. Arizona is on the Crabbe and Cobbs. Crabbe tried to dump it down. So now Arizona in one possession territory. And that's going to be a block, I believe. Yes, it is a blocking foul, and Lyons will go to the line.
And that was too easy for Arizona. Cal's got to do a better job collapsing in the middle. You see the screen at the top. Just one screen was all it took, and he's wide open in the middle. I think if Bach would have just held his position, he may not have gotten the charge, but I think it was going to be a tough finish for Lyons. And then he moved at the last second, creating that block.
Now this is frustrating for Arizona, with Matt telling you how good they've been at the line. And every foul now is 2 shots.
Yeah.
Arizona still has a foul to give.
And the Lions 88% from the line, and those averages actually go up in the last 5 minutes.
Each team with the 2 timeouts. You see those on the bar at the bottom. The possession arrow belongs to Cal. The ball with Cal. The lead with Cal. Crabbe with a fumble. Crabbe down, saves it. Cal still has time. Cobbs with a huge shot. Boy, Crabbe and Cobbs have been incredibly cool in the second half.
The biggest shot of the game to this point. And again, Cobbs hit those shots against ASU the other night. He seems to be a late guy that, when he has to let it go, shoots it nice.
And Lyons with an equal answer. 16 for Lyons. Timeout.
Well, I know it's being redundant, but Lyons is just Mr. Clutch for this team, and he had Kravish. Kravish should have come out with a little closer, harder close. And you see Cobbs here just really kind of walk into that one. Lyons gave a little pressure. That was created by the fumble on the other end there, but you see Kravish there. I think he just needed to push out further. Got to understand that Lyons is their guy.
And Matt, it's a great point, because you said Cobbs has got shooter momentum.
Yeah.
He's stepping into his shot. Lyons that's a straight jump, and he looked to be 3-4 feet behind the arc.
Yeah, no question.
So there's your game situation. Arizona using this timeout, so they just have one. And remember, the one thing you see, the one thing that factors into this, Arizona has a foul. And then they'll have 3 more 1-and-1 fouls. The guys that have the ball a lot for Cal, Alan Crabbe and Justin Cobbs, are both over 80% from the foul line.
Yeah, they're terrific free throw shooters. The interesting part, the other guys on this Cal team, Most of them are not.
Yeah.
So
Here's Wallace with the ball. He's only 55% as a freshman. Solomon Hill on Crab.
how did he?
Crab makes an incredibly tough shot.
You can't. If you're Solomon Hill, what do you do?
Exactly.
You just.
That's too good.
That is just too good right there.
31 for Crab. Second highest scoring game of his career. Nick Johnson again, right down the lane and missed the layup. And Ashley missed the putback. Ashley again, and Cal comes away with it. Nick Johnson, with no defensive pressure, got right to the basket.
And I think at the last second, he wasn't sure whether to lay it in without using the backboard or use the board. I think he got caught in between and it hit the back rim.
Looks like Arizona's going to play this possession out again. They have a foul. Now Cal's going to take a timeout. So I'll ask you here, Matt. There's 17 on the play clock. 17 on the shot clock, excuse me. Is this too soon for Arizona to start fouling, or do you play this possession out?
I think you play it out only because there's 17 on
yeah.
the clock. I mean, I think if you're up around 25, 30 or above, I would foul. I think right away you look for the right guy to foul, obviously. But now that they're at 17, they're not into anything. But let's watch this. I mean, come on. Are you kidding? I think it looked like Jarrett may have gotten a piece of it. There's that miss there, and Ashley in perfect position. He misses the same one, and
this one.
And Kravish did a nice job. He really just put his hand straight up.
Yes, that's right. That's why there
didn't
was no foul.
And it looked like Ashley was looking for that foul.
But that'll haunt Arizona, because you talked about this again. Johnson got a screen up top, and he got in the lane, and there was nobody there. He got right to the rim.
Yep. Kravish barely even contested. Actually didn't contest it.
And again, shot clock at 17 for Cal. Timeout, and that's their last one. All right, so Arizona denies the inbounds, and now Cal has used its final timeout. And you see there a little emotion taken over on the Cal bench.
Now, Alan Crabb was my preseason Pac-12 Player of the Year. Didn't say he was currently, but he's making a big case tonight. You do this on the road in McKale Center, as you said, Ted. I mean, there's nothing like a McKale Center game, middle of conference in February, great weather, weekend game, and to come in and do this on the road. I mean, that's just fantastic by him. And I think a great redemption from him from the other night, as I said, kind of stumbled late in that game. And you look at the field goals, 12 of 15. That's just, that's kind of silly.
And these rebounds and assists as well. So now Cal they've got no safety net left, no timeouts. Does the strategy say the same if you're Arizona here? Play the possession out?
I think so. I think so. I think you play it out. I think you look for, if you get in any situation where you can foul anybody, obviously Coach Miller probably telling all of his guys who to foul, going over that list right now.
There's a situation, and this is one of my pet peeves, and I know Herb Sendek at Arizona State differs with his view, but you think John Beilein wanted to foul yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that's
where if you have that foul in your pocket, you're Sean Miller, you may get a chance to, you hope you get a chance to really use it.
Yeah.
Late clock now, so it's going to be Cobbs. He sees it against Hill, the tougher man, the bigger man, and Cobbs takes him. Justin Cobbs squared up against Solomon Hill and took him. And that'll come back to Cal now. Shot clock off, and Arizona will have to start fouling, and they'll have to foul twice here to get Cal to the line.
That's right. Look for the steal right away. If you don't get it, you foul immediately, and you can't pick who you want to foul. You certainly want to cover. Oh, that deep ball may be there.
Yeah, Cobbs broke deep. All right, so there's Arizona. Players don't realize yet. Still not a 1-and-1. And Frank Harvey on top of it. Make sure, gonna get everybody back. Not a 1-and-1 yet.
Now this is where Arizona earlier this season, Florida was in this same situation. They came up with 2 steals late in this game.
All right, Cobbs has it. That's who Cal wants to have it. Very wisely. Mike Montgomery had Tyrone Wallace inbound.
Yeah. As you mentioned, 55% free throw shooter, but Cobbs here, he gets a bigger guy on him and he took him off the dribble. You can see he just got that space, but that finish was not easy. It wasn't as tough as Krabs the play before, but 2 of the tougher finishes late in games you'll see all year.
84%. Well, it's Mike Montgomery now sending his guys away from the foul line. Arizona still has 1 timeout. They have 2 more 1-and-1 fouls. And Cobbs gets nice soft bounces twice.
And here against the zone, you got to get quick penetration and then dish it out for the 3.
Bill was too deep. Stepped in just a little bit. But a couple of misses here by Arizona, and now facing seriously uphill climb. One thing that Arizona still has, the 1 weapon or the 1-and-1 fouls, and they'll do it to Crabbe. Crabbe is an 83% foul shooter. He's had one of the best games of his career, and here's a Quicken Loans amazing play of the game.
Well, this is the play that really sealed it. I mean, it's still a game, but come on. He goes up against Jarrett. He beat Hill off of that one and somehow able to finish. He did most of that with jump shots, and that's what I'm talking about, going off the dribble more and being a guy that can take guys and get into the lane.
Well, Crabbe misses. That was a 1-and-1, and the players weren't quite ready for that either.
No.
And Hill with a miss, another rebound to Cal, and now the Golden Bears are going to get out of McHale with a win. Brandon Smith, the only Cal player that has ever played on a winning game against Arizona. Solomon Hill is the only Arizona player that had ever lost to Cal. And Mike Montgomery is going to sit back, and maybe somebody will ask him about that game 11 years ago where Mike Montgomery went to a zone, something he had rarely ever done as a coach, and shocked a Xavier team in which Sean Miller was an assistant. He went there for about 22 minutes of this game. Matt, how big was it?
It was big. It changed the whole course. The tempo was in their favor, and then on the other end, offensively, they were sensational.
Well, Cal with Crabbe and Cobbs are huge. There's a 3-way tie for first in the Pac-12 as we go back to Ashley Adamson.